Okay, now we'll study this particular chapter, culture and socialization. How will you define culture? In the basic concept I've explained, a fixed pattern or fixed ways of doing certain activities are known as culture. Okay, and there are a lot of explanation with respect to culture. There are many theorists who have explained culture, such as Cliff Brown, Malinowski, Edward Bernard Taylor. Okay, then you have Clifford Geertz. So you would see that whenever we are understanding society, we do need to make our our concepts clear with respect to what is culture, how we get culture, then what is socialization. What is socialization? Socialization is a process in which an individual learns about their culture. So there are various agents who help us to understand our culture. So this chapter is basically about that how an individual, when he or she is born, he start understanding how to live. Okay, how an individual know that this is my god, this is my rituals, this is how I have to behave in society. So how we are imbibing culture basically. Okay, so when we are discussing class 11 with this chapter, it's only because I mean, we need to understand how it is going to help us to understand better society. Society is made up of what? Society is made up of individuals, and how individuals are acting, and when you people are acting in individual, like society, how you are maintaining order. Okay, so this is what you people have to see. So first paragraph, culture like society is term used frequently, vaguely and interchangeably. So generally people take that, okay, culture and society are same, but no, it is not same. Society is what? Every society has a culture. Okay, so culture is manifesting itself through society. So when a number of individuals live in a particular area, they are sharing some common identical ways of doing certain activities. Okay, so if they are living in Indian subcontinent, so their mechanism of addressing to uncertainties or their ways of worshipping God is what we are talking in terms of institution. So that particular way of worshipping God or the religion institution is different from, you can say, from geographical region to geographical region, right? Another region. Now in India, we do have different religious values. But if I'll talk about majority, so majority of Indians are God worshipping, like idol worshippers. Okay, they are Hindus. So how you are worshipping God, that particular trait would also identify you as Hindu. How you are eating, what occupation you are taking. So you people are members of Indian society and demonstrating particular culture. Okay, so in this first paragraph, it is only simply explaining us this. Okay, so they take culture apart to try to understand the relation between its various aspects. Now, what is the relevance of culture? Write down this, just write down here only. So, culture helps us to navigate in this world. So, culture basically gives us orientation that how do we have to behave in a society. Please write down. And culture is not static, it is always changing. So, write down that as well. How are we, this particular paragraph is telling that how humans are different from other living organisms because of our culture. Okay, write down this as well. So this we have written that culture is dynamic, evolving, and then other place is what? It is telling us how we are different. We are different from other animals because of our culture. Now, how culture is conveyed to the next generation? There are two types. Okay, oral tradition and written tradition. Right, on oral tradition and written tradition. Now, this is something which you people have to understand and write it down. In different environments, people adapt different strategies to cope with the natural and social conditions. This leads to the emergence of diverse ways of life and culture. So, how do we have cultural variation? It is all dependent on adaptive skills. Okay, in that one particular environment. Write down this in your own words. Please write down this one paragraph. Origin of culture. Write down. Origin of culture. Culture originates through adaptive strategies in a particular environment. ये लिखेंगे अपने आप से. Culture originates through adaptive strategies in a different geographical region. So humans on different continents of the globe are surviving with variation in natural resources. In a manner, in a manner that humans develop distinct ways to cope up with the challenges of physical and social world. Eventually, it leads to the emergence of social institutions that give rise to cultural variation. For instance, communities living in Japan are having different food resources as compared to those who are living in Middle East. Henceforth, their choices of food would be dependent on the availability of resources and other institution is also going to be influenced by their adaptive mechanisms. Clear है? So next time you should be knowing how humans have adapt culture. So culture is basically a strategy of your survival. And now survival is totally dependent on your environment. Okay? So this is what it is explaining us. So disparities in coping mechanism were evident during the devastating tsunami of 26 December 4, which affected some parts of the Tamil Nadu and this and that. So people on the mainland and are integrated into relatively modern way of life. So this learning prepares us for carrying out roles and responsibilities in society. Okay, so diverse setting, different cultures. देखो यहाँ से so humans live in a variety of natural settings like in the mountains and plains, forests, clear lands, deserts, river valleys, in islands, mainlands. They also inhabit different fisher folk and the service personnel in the islands were caught unawares and suffered large-scale devastation. Okay, so on the other hand, the primitive tribal communities in the islands like Onges, Jarawas, they're living on very different knowledge. Okay, so further the calamity based on their experimental knowledge and saved themselves by moving on higher ground. This shows that having access to modern science and technology does not make modern culture superior or the tribal cultures of the island as inferior. The cultures cannot be ranked but can be judged adequate or inadequate in terms of their ability to cope up with the strains. अब यहाँ पे देखिए क्वेश्चन जो आ सकता है आपको, इट इज अबाउट एथनोसेंट्रिज्म एंड कल्चरल relativism. Okay, so this entire paragraph is simply explaining us, it is only explaining us that how we cannot understand culture without giving an account to the geographical diversity. So geographical diversity is reflecting on coping mechanism. Okay, coping mechanism जो भी जिस तरीके से भी आप cope up कर रहे हो. Now on the basis of your coping mechanism one cannot differentiate that this culture is superior. For example, largely it is believed that the mainstream societies like us who are the part of modern world, they are superior, and those who are living in traditional ways of life such as tribals, they are orthodox or primitive in nature. But as Levi Strauss argue, Levi Strauss argues that indigenous or tribal people should not considered as inferior just because they are not living the life or their lives the way mainstream societies are living. They also have their coping mechanism. They also have their leisure activities. If they are not systematic or scientific like us, it does not mean that they do not have any culture or their culture is inferior. ये लिखो, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है, खुद से लिखो ये पार्ट. लिवाई स्ट्रॉसे Now write down here. So generally we define culture with taste, people, this and that. But how sociologists are understanding culture? Please write down this content as it is. And he has written the book name Edward Bernard Taylor, Primitive Civilization, Primitive Culture, Primitive Culture. Please write down. Keep writing this. Years back, ये आपको पूरा लिखना है एडवर्ड बर्नर्ड टेलर, क्योंकि ये आपका टॉपिक 6 से भी रिलेटेड है. और दूसरा क्लिफर्ड गिब्स. आई हैव नो डाउट दैट यूपीएससी कैन आस्क यू क्वेश्चन ऑन एडवर्ड टेलर, क्लिफर्ड गिब्स एंड ब्रॉनिस्लो मैलिनोव्स्की एंड वन मोर थिंकर. हो गई यहीं पे गई रेडक्लिफ ग्राम. फिर आप मत कहना कि ये कहाँ से आया है, बिकॉज ये ट्रेंड ही बन चुका है कि यूपीएससी कुछ एंथ्रोपोलॉजिस्ट के क्वेश्चन सोशो में पूछती है, सोशो के क्वेश्चन एंथ्रो में पूछती है. राइट नाउ आई वांट ऑल ऑफ यू टू राइट दिस कंटेंट यहाँ तक, देन आई विल एक्सप्लेन दिस थिंकर्स थ्योरीज टू यू. तीनों लिखेंगे, अदरवाइज आपको ये थ्योरी समझ में नहीं आएगी. प्लीज राइट डाउन. अगर आपके पास बुक है तो बुक में कीजिए. दोज हु आर नॉट हैविंग बुक, प्लीज राइट डाउन हियर. एडवर्ड बर्नर्ड टेलर की बुक का नाम है प्रिमिटिव कल्चर. क्लिफर्ड गेट्स का क्वेश्चन आ सकता है आपको. थिक डिस्क्रिप्शन. ओके, यहाँ पे लेस्ली वाइट भी है. तो लेस्ली वाइट इज मॉडर्न एवोल्यूशनिस्ट लिखेंगे गाइस, अदरवाइज आपको ये तीनों थिंकर्स नहीं समझ में आएंगे. प्लीज राइट इट डाउन. तीनों थिंकर्स को आई विल एक्सप्लेन वेरी क्विकली. आप सिर्फ एक काम करो, इनको ये लिखने के बाद आप थिंकर्स के नाम here because happily required by man as a member of society, then Bronislaw Malinowski and Clifford Bees. पे भी आप मार्क कर सकते हो, लेकिन थिंकर्स की नेम जल्दी लिख लीजिए। कहाँ जा रहे हो आप हसन? अभी तो 1 आवर भी नहीं हो रहा, आप थक क्यों रहे हो आप सब? आई गिव यू ब्रेक एट 3:15 या 3:20 पे, ठीक है? लिख लिया? एक और नाम लिखो आप जल्दी जल्दी। एल्फ्रेड क्रोबर, क्लाइडे क्लूखोन। डायमेंशन ऑफ कल्चर्स अभी हम बाद में बात करेंगे, ठीक है? ओके, तो पहले थिंकर कौन थे आपके? एडवर्ड बर्नेट टेलर। ओके, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट थिंकर फॉर अस। कीप मेकिंग नोट्स along with me. Edward Bernard Taylor is leading social cultural anthropologist. Okay, so the book name is Primitive Culture. He is evolutionist. Okay, evolutionist means that they believe just like Auguste Comte. So culture moves from simplicity to कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी। जल्दी से लिखेंगे फीचर्स। सोशल कल्चर एंथ्रोपोलॉजिस्ट थे, बुक का नाम था प्रिमिटिव कल्चर। एवोल्यूशनिस्ट थे, एवोल्यूशनिस्ट का मतलब होता है हु इज आर्गुइंग दैट देयर आर ग्रेजुअल चेंजेस टू मूव कल्चर हैज मूव फ्रॉम सिंप्लिसिटी टू कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी। जल्दी जल्दी, इसलिए मैं बोल रही हूँ स्पीड थोड़ा सा बढ़ाओ। दो दो पेपर्स लिखने होते हैं आप लोगों को, मॉर्निंग में और फिर इवनिंग में। स्पीड नहीं होगी तो प्रीलिम्स अगर क्रैक भी कर लिया, मेंस नहीं कर पाओगे। बच्चे ऑफन मुझे बोलेंगे मैडम आप स्पीड में बोल रहे हो। भाई मैं तो स्पीड में बोलूंगी ना, आप लोगों को ट्रेन जो करना है। आप लोग नहीं कम स्पीड में लिखोगे। एनीवे, ये पॉइंट समझ में आए। एडवर्ड बर्नेट टेलर, लीडिंग एंथ्रोपोलॉजिस्ट, एंड व्हाट इज ही आर्गुइंग? ही इज आर्गुइंग दैट culture is moving from simplicity to complexity. So the definition you can read the way he has explained कि कैसे एक वेब है, ट्रेड्स है, and all that, वो आप खुद से समझेंगे, हम थ्योरी समझते हैं। What he is arguing, he was saying that so culture is moving, being savage, then you become barbaric, and then civilization. Okay, so this is a basic explanation of cultural movement. He has explained, for example, how religion has moved, thought process has moved. So he has explained, and he has explained really beautifully with respect to religion, that how religion is moving. Okay, so he has given, and बाद में मैं इसको बहुत अच्छे से आपको explain करूंगी. He has explained, first of all, we did have animism, polytheism, and monotheism. Animism, that earlier people were believing in supernatural power, that the concept of soul. Then we have started believing in various gods, and then is the monotheism. So society or culture is moving. Okay, so Edward Bernard Taylor is simply arguing on this line. Then you have Malinowski. Okay, so what Malinowski is arguing? Now, Malinowski is arguing, I'm writing here, Malinowski have studied Pacific Islanders पे agronauts. Okay, Melanesian and Polynesian tribes. Melanesian and Polynesian tribes. And very famous work he has given known as colouring ceremony. You can get a question for 10 mark on colouring ceremony. So what Malinowski had done? Malinowski went to this island, lived there, used ethnography. Use ethnographic approach. What is ethnographic approach? लिखो ये सारे टर्म. इन्होंने क्या यूज करा था? Ethnography. He did ethnography. Okay. And then as explained by using participant observation. Participant observation करके उन्होंने characteristics explain करे और बहुत सारे important points बताए that how the tribal peoples are maintaining international relations like relations with other islanders. जैसे हमारे आज globally international relations हैं. For example, nowadays Putin is in India, I believe. So it is also manifesting and illustrating that how powerful relation India is having with Russia. Now US is going to think that they cannot attack in India because Russia is in the support, right? So in colouring ceremony, Malinowski has explained that there are, I'm explaining this explanation because it is written in your NCERT kind of. So this is the island. Let's just say A, B, C. Okay. So this islanders, what they do have necklace and armbands. Okay. Necklace basically in red color, and then armband. Okay. Intrinsic value of this shells, it is made up of shells. जो water में shells होते हैं ना, seas में, but intrinsic value कुछ नहीं है. But they do have a spiritual value on it. So they do believe that this necklace and the armband has spiritual power. Okay. So necklace and band is moving, migrating in two directions. So अगर necklace ऐसे direction में जा रहा है, so arms band इस पे. अब जैसे you know this two has exchanged necklace. So he has given necklace to this tribe. Now they both would become Kula ring partners. Okay, they are now going to exchange the resources. They are also going to have marriages, endogamy. They are going to look for the partners, resources, everything. A and B is now in a strong alliance. If C is going to attack B, automatically it is attack on A as well, because now they are sharing necklace. So there are multiple islands over there. So Malinowski is simply validating a fact that it's just because the tribal peoples are not living the way mainstream people are living, it does not mean that they are not having culture. In fact, on the contrary, their mechanism of solving disputes are better than us. Now, in one of the conversation, Kanish, you asked me that, ma'am, why money is important, something like that, right? Some conversation you did ask me. So there is one more tribe or one more ceremony known as potlatch ceremony. So in that potlatch ceremony, the idea of burning the wealth is the recognition of superiority. So it is like what they will do, they will call for a feast. The chieftain would call for a feast, and then it is like the two tribes would come, and then they would say, let's have all the wealth together. Now A and B, now for us, you would see today in the morning only, I was just thinking, you do not have to do anything, you just should have lot of money, people will see you with respect, right? Potlatch ceremony में different है. Potlatch ceremony. So there what will happen, they will gather their resources and then they will call other members, other tribes ke member, and then they would say, see what we are doing, they are going to burn it. So they are going to get respect in ruining the wealth, not accumulating. Any wealth, food, resource, gold, and yeah, so if they have lot of gold, what they will do? They will call their enemy and they will throw on them. Le, rakh. We put wealth on our food. Okay, it is like that. But idea here, just to explain you that Malinowski or Edward Bernard Taylor, they are social cultural anthropologists, renowned social cultural anthropologists rather, and they are examining how we are having cultural diversity. Okay, and which was the another thinker? Clifford Geertz. Anthropology में anthropology optional UPSC. I think UPSC anthropology they are obsessed with Clifford Geertz. Every year, almost every year, 2 year, 3 year को छोड़ के Clifford Geertz पे question है anthropology में. Clifford Geertz is arguing that to understand culture, we need to use thick description. लिखो ये नहीं है आपके कहीं भी mention नहीं है ये. ट्रॉबर आइलैंड आइलैंडर्स, आप सिर्फ कूलर रिंग लिख लेना, बाद में आपको ये सारा एडवांस में बता दूंगी मैं. कूलर रिंग सेरेमनी, इफ यू वांट टू रीड समथिंग, आई एम टीचिंग एनसीईआरटी बेटा, आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टीच एडवांस. अगर मैं एडवांस पढ़ाने लगूंगी तो फिर एनसीईआरटी खत्म ही नहीं होगी कभी. बट इफ यू वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड, यू जस्ट राइट डाउन मैलिनोव्स्की कूलर रिंग सेरेमनी. ओके, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड. इसीलिए ना आई थिंक दैट व्हेन आई हैव टू टीच all NCERT, you people are always curious. This is the problem with UPSC aspirants. They just want to grab. You don't understand that we are reading NCERT. But I'm now showing you what is colouring ceremony. Just a moment. Hmm? What are you saying? What ties? It's just not the A and B, it's more than that. Among the tribals, the islanders. I would be teaching all of you. Don't worry about all this. Okay. This was the work. Okay. Agronauts of the Western Pacific. You people can quickly write down the name. Agronauts of the Western Pacific. कूलरिंग ceremony यहीं पे explain हुई हुई है. Quickly. Argonauts of the Western Pacific. देख लिया? Okay, I can't find it here also. Let it be. Okay, because I just wanted to show you the picture, but it is not here. So I'm not going to explain that. You please see it later on. Okay, or you can see to it after the class. So it's a, you will type, you will see. I can find in to like my points. I will take going to take a lot of time. समझ में आ गया अभी तक? Okay. Another thinker was Clifford Geertz. Clifford Geertz has used and argued to have thick description. Thick description. That we need to define culture by defining it heavily. Okay. So we need to explain symbols, we need to explain rituals, everything. So descriptive, we should explain in descriptive nature. Okay. Then you have Leslie White. Leslie White is also arguing how we can define culture. So he was a neo-evolutionist. Leslie White को side में लिख दो. He was neo-evolutionist. So he was saying that we need to understand theories with respect to evidences and culture, how culture is evolving and how we are also going to go back where we have got started, right? Now, another way to explain culture is cognitive. Okay, so it is like to know how culture has come up. Then cognitive is like how we are understanding. So George Herbert Mead, this refers to how we learn to process what we hear, see. So यहाँ पे आप साइड में लिखोगे जॉर्ज हर्बर्ट मीड. Okay, then culture can also be explained by material. यहाँ पे आप लिख सकते हो मैरविन हैरिस. Okay, there are not many other thinkers who are explaining like this. So cognitive aspects of culture, Margaret Mead, Ruth Benedict. Quickly read. Material aspects of culture, culture and identity. I do not think so that we do have to go so deeper into it. Okay. So you people can do just one quick reading on this. What is ethnocentrism? Here, cultural superiority. I have already explained this. So please write down. You people can get a question on ethnocentrism. What is ethnocentrism? Here we are thinking that our own culture is superior, other cultures are less superior. Okay. So opposite to ethnocentrism is cultural relativism. that we do have to accept other culture, and cultural relativism was given to us by Franz Boas. Side में दिख रहे ना, Franz Boas. He is actually giving this idea through his work, Historical Materialism. Then, how culture is changing? When we are coming with cultural contact. Culture is changing whensoever we are coming into contact with other people, other groups people, they are coming up, so we are learning while living with them. So their beliefs we are accepting, they are also accepting our culture. So acculturation, culture change through acculturation. लिखेंगे. So culture change is the way in which societies change their patterns of culture. The impetus for change can be internal or external. In regards to internal causes, for instance, new methods of farming or agriculture can boost agricultural production. So this what you will see. So along with evolutionary change, there can also be revolutionary change. When culture is transformed rapidly, its values and meaning system undergo radical change. Revolutionary change can be initiated through political intervention, technological intervention. So the French Revolution transformed French society by destroying the estate system of ranking, abolishing the monarchy, and inculcating the values of liberty, equality, and fraternity. इस साल 10 मार्क 15 मार्क का आई बिलीव क्वेश्चन आया GS1 में on French Revolution, how it is helping us to understand contemporary society. Okay, so this is what you can say. So here interplay of between individual and society are there. Now how individual and society interact. So that is through socialization. Okay, so we learn about our society through socialization. What is socialization? Socialization can be defined as a process whereby the helpless infant gradually becomes self-aware, knowledgeable person, skilled in the ways of the culture into which he is born. Indeed, without socialization, an individual would not behave. Okay, you must have given the story of wolf, Mowgli, we know that. So culture is given to us by society through the medium of language. Okay, socialization, how we are learning. So socialization is a lifelong process. Even though the most critical process happens in the early years, the stage of primary socialization, secondary socialization is also there. So while socialization has an important aspect of individual, you can say cultural programming is happening through socialization. Okay, very easy. I do not think so that I'll go so deeper. Okay, then agents of socialization. The first agent is your family. Then the peer groups, schools, mass media. Then you have informal way also of socializing. Okay, just read it. Socialization, just a moment. Socialization and individual freedom. Okay, it is perhaps evident that socialization is normal circumstances can never completely reduce people to conformity. Okay, many factors encourage conflict. There may be conflict between socializing agencies, between schools and home, between home and peer groups. So what you have to understand here, in the course of socialization, each of us develops a sense of self-identity and the capacity of for independent and thought and actions. ये लिखेंगे यहाँ पे. So if we are always going to act according to our lessons which we have got from different agencies of socialization, then why are we reacting on our own? So, through the course of socialization, individuals are also imbibing and reflecting on its own and making its own thought process. Otherwise, our parents want us to behave in certain manners. School, society always want us to act the way they want, but still we act the way we want because that is the way we develop. Because this is what basically Max Weber is arguing, that you cannot apply exact natural science methods to understand individuals or society, because when we are dealing social world, we are dealing with individuals and individuals are not mere puppet. हम puppet नहीं है ना, हमारा खुद का thought process है. So we take, we learn and we respond to our wish. Example, you would see that how teenagers act on their own. So we are picking up and we are living also. So life is learning and unlearning. तो हम लोग क्या है, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग बीइंग है ना, कोई पपेट थोड़ी ना है कि जहां बोला वैसे हम करने लगेंगे. इट इज नॉट एट ऑल लाइक दैट. आप में से कौन ऐसे हैं जो बिल्कुल वैसा ही बिलीव करता है? मीन सी, आई वुड नॉट से दैट गो अगेंस्ट योर पेरेंट्स, ओके, बट पेरेंट्स कैन ऑल्सो बी रॉन्ग. अब पेरेंट्स कितने गलत है उसके लिए आपके पास विजडम होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज पेरेंट्स आर द ओनली क्रिएचर्स जो आपका हर कंडीशन में अच्छा चाहते हैं, especially your mother. But again, they can be wrong because उनकी socialization अलग है, उनकी thought process अलग है. Okay? In terms of marriage, अगर कोई सोचे कि मैरिज अपनी मर्जी से करें या उनकी मर्जी से करें, अपनी मर्जी से करो, चलेगी तो अच्छी बात है, नहीं चलेगी कि तो एक शांति रहती है, खुद से करिए. आई एम टेलिंग यू दिस. ओके, marriage is all about your own relationship. How do you like a person, you know? And often I'm not saying, see, take every relationship in a lighter mode. Okay, कुछ लोग शादी करते हैं, बहुत प्यार में होते हैं, खत्म हो जाता है, एक्सेप्टेड. कुछ लोग शादी करने के बाद देयर इज नो लव, देयर इज नो अफेक्शन, बट स्टिल दे लिव बिकॉज ऑफ देयर चिल्ड्रन एंड बिकॉज ऑफ अदर फैक्टर्स. इट्स ओके, लाइफ वैसे भी खत्म हो जानी है, कट जानी है. ओके, एक चीज जो आप सबको वर्क करना चाहिए, वर्क ऑन योर इकोनॉमी. यू मस्ट वर्क judicially, religiously, give 200% to your career. Every other thing is leave. Love, affair, husband, wife, सब अलग होना चाहिए as per my understanding. You must have some bigger goal. मतलब ये जीवन तो हर कोई जी रहा है ना. देन शादी करो, बच्चे पैदा करो, उनको पालो, मर जाओ. जानवर भी ऐसे ही, कुछ फॉक्स भी ऐसे ही कुछ कर रहे हैं. आप क्या अलग कर रहे हो? बस अब उसके लिए ये नहीं है कि यू विल जस्ट नाउ स्टार्ट डूइंग फिलोसफी. फिलोसफी भी वही लोग अच्छा करते हैं जिनके पास ज्यादा पैसा होता है. मैं आपको सच बता रही हूँ ये बात. आप देख लो हिस्ट्री उठा के, मोस्ट ऑफ द फिलोसफर्स आर वेल्दी. वर वेल्दी, अगर पास्ट की बात करूं, आज भी. ठीक है, so this is what you have to see. How gender the socialization, I do not think so that we do have to go so deeper. So this chapter is finished. Okay, now I can give you a break. Just a moment, let me just come.